Namaste, everyone. The light and love of the divine in me honors and greets the light and love of the divine in each and every one of you who are with us this morning. Thank you for being here. We were having a discussion before just a few minutes ago about the fact that this is our last live Zoom from home. So beginning next week, we will be returning to the pavilion. Does not mean that Zoom ends. Zoom will continue, but this is an ending of sorts, isn't it? And it's we've been grateful to Zoom for the flexibility that it has provided us for all of these months. All of these months, we figured out it's been 15 months. 15 months of being out of the pavilion. That's a long while. So thank you for being here. We are the Awakening Way Spiritual Community. We are a New Thought spiritual community in the lineage of Dr. Ernest Holmes. And we believe those New Thought principles, the principles that say that there is this thread of spiritual truths that run through all spiritual traditions. There is an underlying truth of spirituality that is just present. And we discover and uncover those truths, and we open to allow those truths to unfold within us. And one of the truths about life itself and about the divine is that it is always about love. It is always about love. And we work on uncovering that love within ourselves, for ourselves and for others and for the world and the universe at large. Whatever we can do, whenever we can, to experience more and more love, this is what we want to do, isn't it? This is how we want to live. We want to be that love, experience that love, and allow that love to unfold, because what we know is that when love is unfolding, when love is the central place from which we come, our entire lives are blessed. Everything looks different because everything is different. That energy of love blesses our lives daily. And so as a spiritual community, we're here to help people find ways to let that love unfold, to let that love rise and come forth. We offer classes, we offer workshops, meditations, all forms of ways to experience divine love, experience the presence of God in us, as God, as love itself. Who wouldn't want to experience that? So we gather together on Sundays as well, and the music lifts us, and the talks inspire us and move us deeper and deeper into that awareness of the presence of love in, around, and through us. And so I know that you came here because love called you here. Love called and you said, yes, I'm coming. I'm coming because I want that, because I am that. And so here we are. We are here in love, and however you got here and wherever you go when this is when this morning is over, for right now, for this perfect moment in time, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. Thank you for being here. So I like to begin our mornings with a reading from Dr. Holmes. You know, he is the founder of our spiritual tradition, and his words are always inspirational. So if you will, join me for just a moment. And if you're comfortable, allow your eyes to softly close. And wherever you are, just allow yourself to take a deep, full, relaxing breath, breathing in fully and exhaling fully. And one more, breathing in and breathing out. And listen to these words from Dr. Holmes. Today, we remember that the Spirit is not far off, but ever at hand, diffused through us. Today, we remember that love is the great lodestone of life, that joy belongs to the Spirit, that the life more abundant is at hand. Today, we carefully watch all our thinking, being certain that it sees in everyone it meets a reflection of the divine image, a copy of the divine pattern, a manifestation of the life of the Spirit. Whatsoever things are good, lovely, and true, these things I think upon. These thoughts I entertain in my mind. Deep within me, there is a feeling nature that reaches up and out and grasps the full significance of this consciousness of good for myself and for others. And so we just breathe in those words of truth, those words of deep inspiration. And we allow our focus this day to be on what is true, on what is lovely, on what is kind, on what is good. For we know we are most certainly immersed in that good. We cannot escape it. And why would we want to? Good is right here, right where we are, right in this breath, and the breath that comes next, and the breath after that. For we are that divine breath breathing itself. We are the presence of the divine, here and now experiencing life in and as this life that carries our name. And so I know that for each and every person at this gathering, that we are all uplifted, that we all carry and see and experience that life divine, that vision of the Most High in our hearts and in our minds. And it continues to bloom and unfold as each minute passes. And we know this morning is filled with blessings. We know that the words that Dr. Frank speaks lift us higher and move us deeper. That we know and experience something that is just perfect for us this morning. Exactly what we need. I know that the music is like nectar. It flows in us and through us, the sweet, sweet sounds, that amazing vibration that we carry with us long after the gathering is finished. I know that each and every one of us are a blessing to one another, as we are a blessing to this planet itself. And so everything is in its perfect right place. Everything is as it should be, for God is present right here and right now. And so it is. Amen.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the
Good morning, beloveds. How are you today? Jimmy, thank you for that song once again. We certainly need the rain. My gosh, it's already hot outside here at our house. You know, we haven't mentioned it before, but this is our anniversary month. I think with all of COVID and everything, we'd forgotten about it. But it was 13 years ago this month, as I recall, by my counting, that we began Awakening Ways, or that it began us really as a unique experience. So happy anniversary to all of you. It's been a joy to be together in community all this time. Our seed of awakening for this month is oneness. And you know, occasionally I have people talk to me and say, if we're all one, then why do I feel so disconnected? Why do I feel so abandoned by life and by God and by everything? Well, and then I also have people who come to me and talk about their children who have problems, or other family members that have issues, and my response to them is, does oneness mean that we're all supposed to be the same? Does oneness mean that I have to be like everybody else, or that everybody else has to be like me? I hope not. I don't want to look around and see nothing but Franks in the world. Uh, Frankly, I irritate myself some of the time. I would be totally irritated if I had to be around nobody but me all the time. We're all different. Each of us is born into oneness, and then we diverge based upon our experiences, our DNA, our heritage. And yet, for all the differences, we're all one in spirit. And that's the key. We're all one in spirit. Ernest Holmes said, we're not one with infinite spirit, but one in it. Do you see the difference? We're in it, we're not with it. If you say I am one with the infinite mind, there's a subtle sense of God and me. There's no separation if you say I am in God. So when I say I'm God having a Frank experience, that's what it means. I'm the divine having the unique experience of being me. Mark Twain once said the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. I believe that each of us is born into this life with a unique purpose, and you have to live your life purpose. If you don't know what it is, then it's vital that you find out. Gandhi said, whatever you do in life may be insignificant, but it is very important because you don't know. You can't ever know what the meaning of your life is, and you don't need to. Every life has a meaning, whether it lasts 100 years or 100 seconds. Next week, we're going back into the pavilion. And yesterday, the last 2 Saturdays, in fact, I've had the wonderful pleasure of getting together with Robin and Delon and Brian, the kid that used to do our sound, and is going to be doing it again. And he's also going to be doing the video. And Ron, and being together with people for the first time in a very long time in an intimate setting, the people in our community in an intimate setting. We got to see one another without masks because we'd all had vaccinations. We got to hug one another. We got to really be together, and it was wonderful. And I know everyone's looking forward to doing that again next week. And on Friday, at our last Soul Support Team meeting, we did it again. And during that meeting, by the way, Linda, thank you for that loving learning activity, because that's what triggered this for me. Reverend Dr. Jan Lindbergh Morgan and Reverend Art and Reverend Patty and Terry and I were reminiscing about classes that we had taken in ministerial training long ago. And I remembered another friend of ours who took some of those classes, Reverend Ann McDevitt, who was a beautiful and brilliant soul. She was the most wonderful woman. She was very powerful. She was a truly liberated woman before it was fashionable. She worked in an all-male profession as a geologist, field geologist, and she was just a powerful woman, but she had this small, sweet, melodic voice that just charmed everyone who heard her. And once she was doing a talk at the little church in Templeton, and she shared a story about a trip to Africa that she had taken. While there, she had the opportunity to meet some of the tribes in the area that they were in. And she shared one particularly wonderful tribal custom with us. At birth, each member of the tribe was given a life song. As the baby was being born, the tribe would gather around the hut that the mother was in and would create this wonderful life song, a unique life song for each and every member of the tribe. And that unique life song was that person's life song forever. And each time the person went through some passage in their life into womanhood or manhood or whatever, they would add a verse. Either that person or someone else would add a verse to their life song. So the whole life song would be sung with the new verse. And when they got married, or when they got betrothed, the couple would sing in front of the tribe, would sing their life songs together in counterpoint, and with this new verse that they had added for themselves. And when they made their transition, again, the tribe would stand around the hut that they were in and would sing the entire life song with all the verses that had been added over the years. And when they made their transition, that life song was never sung again. And I thought that was just wonderful. It was this amazing idea of the life song. One of the Beatitudes of Jesus is usually translated as, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." But you know, in Aramaic, that can be translated this way: tuned to the source are those who live by breathing unity. Their I can is included in God's. Their I can is included in God's. It's that life song sung in harmony with the divine, sung in harmony with the whole universe. And I think that's a beautiful way of picturing our lives. Each of us born with our own life song. Imagine that. A unique tune that flows through us and only through us. And it's not written on our soul by the world. It's written on our soul by the divine, by spirit, showing us our true nature. John Philip Sousa was known as the March King, and he wrote sweeping, inspiring melodies that help people march in unison toward a destination. And I think the words of Thoreau, marching to the tune of a different drummer, must have resonated a chord with him. For Johann Strauss, the Waltz King, the Hindu idea of life being the only dance there is, or the Sufi idea of life being the dance of the personality, would have struck the same chord. And for me, it would be this stanza from Ernest and Fenwick's book, The Life Celestial, and it's a little bit long, so bear with me. To his amaze, the vestments that they wore were those of priests and scientists and seers, no other garbs as others wore, and with them marched initiates of schools long gone, the mystic cults whose passion plays introduced the Christ. And there calm Plato marched with Socrates, Aurelius, Plotinus, Paul, and Jesus the Christ. And following close were many saints, St. Augustine, St. Francis, and mystics, small and great of yesteryear, and poets singing songs of deliverance and hope and faith, and souls illumined, who through the ages dark had kept life alive. It reminds me that I truly walk truly march to the tune that was listened to in their own unique way by Jesus, by the Buddha, by Plato, by Socrates, by Plotinus, by Saint Francis, and all of the mystics. Each of us has our own song that silently sings to our minds and our hearts and our souls. And it reminds us of who we truly are if we only listen. It's the genius that truly hears his or her life song early on. Mozart was once approached by a young man who asked him for advice on how to write a symphony. And Mozart told him that he was young and that he should begin writing simple melodies and ballads for a few years. The young man said, "But you wrote symphonies when you were only 10 years old." And Mozart answered, "Yes, but I didn't have to ask anyone how." Few of us can be like Mozart. We can't, we just aren't able to play that song we hear in all its rich variations from the very young on, but all of us can learn it. In fact, for most of us, the only way we do it is to learn it by practice, practice, practice. We talk about practicing the presence. We talk about living a life of principle. What is that but listening to and practicing the life song of spirit playing inside you? We always live some form of our life song, whether we know it or not. Usually it's unconscious. So we move through life constantly coming up against obstacles, against situations and experiences that force us to keep learning hard lessons. That's the cosmic 2x4 we talk about, because it's reminding us that we're not singing our life song, that somehow we've gotten it out of tune, we're discordant. Somewhere, something has convinced us that our life song wasn't worth singing. The kindergarten teacher who said, "You'll have to do this drawing over. You can't do purple trees." Or the father who said, "You'll never make a living doing that. Get a business degree." The list is endless. I could go on and on and on. And I probably wouldn't tell your unique story. But we wander through lives never hearing our own life song, forever lamenting like Rumi, "Birdsong brings relief to my longing. I'm as ecstatic as they are, but with nothing to say. Please, universal soul, practice some song or something through me." I was certainly like Rumi. I didn't hear my life song until I was in my mid-50s. And even then, it took me another 5 years before I was able to do it. Most people drift from job to job. They drift from they have occupations. They never have vocations. They drift from relationship to relationship. They go from metaphysical teaching to metaphysical teaching. And never hearing the beauty in their own song, they're unable to hear the beauty in another's. And so they never hear how another person's song might harmonize with theirs. And so relationships are always wrong choices. They give up trying to find the perfect job, the perfect place, the perfect mate, perfect relationship, and they emotionally isolate themselves. How many people do we know that are like that? Like the lone drum, the solitary flute, playing in their own self-imposed silence, never joining in that rich Baroque symphony that I hear as life. They're forever marching to the tune of someone else's drum, or not join in at all. For me, I became a teacher because that was the best I could hear my life song until I was in my late 50s. And during that time, I moved an average of 3 years, every 3 years from the time I graduated from college, until I found my life song. And since that time, I've only made 2 geographics. When we hear our pure life song, we always know that our life song is never the same as anyone else's. To the extent that we try to force someone else to sing our life song, neither of us is singing or dancing or marching to our own life songs. For the true hearer of life song always recognizes the life song in another. And so it harmonizes, it never drowns it out. When we let the world tell us what is and isn't so, we frequently find ourselves denying our own life song for fear of the world's ridicule. But as the old saying goes, when they tell you it can't be done, just remember how many times they were wrong. In the last years of the 19th century, a well-known and influential bishop of the United Brethren Church was discussing philosophy with a college professor. The bishop stated his belief that the millennium was at hand because everything in nature had been discovered and everything that could be invented already had been invented. This was the late 19th century. The professor disagreed with the bishop and predicted within a few years men would be flying. Nonsense, said the bishop. God has reserved flying to the birds and the angels. I can just imagine his shock when 15 years later, Bishop Wright's sons, Orville and Wilbur, visited Kitty Hawk. What happened that the sons heard the song, then the father couldn't? How could these two young mechanics hear what their scholarly religious father couldn't? The same way we can. They were willing, like Ernest, to turn from their own preconceived and static patterns of thinking and encounter the pure, unadulterated action of the creative activity of mind. It is there if we but seek it out, recognize it, and accept it. That's our life song. Listen to the tune playing in your soul and dance and march to the tune you hear. That's hearing the life song and living the life song. The song of life seems discordant to many of us. Why? Because we're not listening to our own authentic life song, and we're out of tune with it, and so are most other people. The oneness of life is intended to be a symphony of wonderful, beautiful music, or a band perfectly attuned, marching to God's tune. When we're out of tune with life, it's because we're not truly hearing our life song. It's that simple. But how do we hear it? How do we hear it if we can't now? First, we have to learn to listen. The book of Deuteronomy in the Hebrew texts say, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." There's two things that are important in that. Hear, O Israel, and the Lord is one. We must take the time each day to consciously listen. A mind busy with trivia, with the past, the present, the likes and the dislikes, the judgments, lost in the cacophony of sound and thought and emotions, never listens. We have to listen when we get past the idea that we will someday be one with God and begin to know our oneness now. Ernest said, every living soul is a point of personified God consciousness, immutable allness, power, now. You're not approaching that point. You're that now. The Sufis teach that to truly listen, we have to learn to listen to the four directions. And their idea of the four directions is quite unique. For them, it's the outer, the inner, the wide, and the narrow. The outer, the inner, the wide, and the narrow. The outer world is the source of all of our sensory experiences and impressions that we receive. And the more consciously we receive those impressions without judgment, the more they can enliven us. Awareness and mindfulness of our entire concrete sensual world helps us to learn to listen within as without. The inner, of course, is the world of thoughts and emotions and those subtler impressions like the psychic and the intuitive. Learning to be, like the Buddhists say, mindful of it in the moment teaches us to listen within as well as without. It means a balance between being so caught up in ourselves that we can't hear another, or being so caught up in another that we can't hear ourselves. Approaching these two directions from a conscious knowledge of the life song in all life is the essence of all communications and relationships, both in the world of effect and in the world of spirit. And just as we learn to pay attention to the inner and the outer, we have to learn to pay attention to the wide and the narrow. Secondly, we must love. Every ancient teaching, from Buddha to Christ, from Tao to Judaism, from Hinduism to Zoroastrianism, are all unanimous on one issue and one issue alone. And that is love one another. Love one another. It's that simple. The loving heart doesn't judge the life song of another, and the judging heart can't even love the life song in itself. Love of self, love of other, love of life, love of sacred unity. Only love hears the life song. Blessed are the meek, for they inherit the earth. Both the Aramaic Christian and the Arabic Sufi versions of that quote say, blessed are the gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. It carries a sense of softening something inside us that's unnaturally hard and rigid within. I know that feeling because I spent much of my younger life hard and rigid within, no matter how hard I worked at softening that through meditation, through yoga, through everything that I did, through knowledge. And when we're able to soften that, it becomes submitted, I guess is the only word I can think of, submitted to God's will. And God's will for all of us is the abundance and good of the earth. And that's what's available to us when we learn to listen to our life song. That same thing is true for all of life. Know the truth and let go. Surrender all your passions and your self-will, and your life song, when you hear it, is God's will for you. The Sufi concept also carries the sense of, being well trained. By practicing attention and loving, we learn to be gentle with ourselves and all life, and we begin to listen with a quiet heart and a peaceful mind. And lastly, we have to be compassionate. Buddhism defines compassion as love, patience, gentleness, and truth. Christianity defines it as grace and truth. And when we approach ourselves and the world with those qualities, all of those qualities, we're compassionate. Understanding what they truly mean in our lives, and then we can begin to live them. Love is unconditional acceptance. Grace is allowing the Spirit to work through you through actions of, I was going to say freely given unmerited favor, but it really means random acts of kindness to everyone. Patience, acceptance with quiet, steady perseverance. Terry said to me this morning before class that the definition of patience, or the gift of patience, was patience. The gift of patience was patience. I guess that's true. Gentleness, kindness, and nobility. And finally, truth, living in integrity with that which is all life, the spirit within you. Do all of these, and you can hear your life song. And you'll hear that universal harmony that is oneness, that we all live in without hearing it. We're like deaf people walking around in a beautiful symphony. Terry and I are about to create new verses to our life song together. And so this is our invitation to you, to learn to march to your drummer and dance to your own life song. Up in Katati, in Sonoma County, there's a wonderful festival that they used to have, and I assume they still do, called the Katati Accordion Festival. The Katati Accordion Festival. And accordion players and accordion bands from all over the country come, Cajun groups and mariachi groups and all kinds of people who play the accordion and play it really, really well come and perform. And they have a slogan, march to the tune of your own accordion. That's what you need to do. The voice celestial says, thou taughtest them to sing the glorious deeds of heroes and of gods, in tune with thee, with beating drums and cymbals, and with arms and hands and rhythmic step to execute a dance which showed in pantomime the majesty of Brahman and the passion of the hearts of those who served his sacred name. Whatever name we give it, the true life song is ours and ours alone. And we hear it only when we're attuned to spirit. We step and swirl, we march, we dance in a song celestial of our own. That's what our life is. And it's joy and it's love and it's serenity. And we soar like the eagle when we truly hear and sing our own unique life song. That's my blessing to you. Hear and sing your own unique life song. Namaste.
Shake it down. Oh, yeah. Here it comes.
Singing in congregation is a vocal celebration, using imagination. It's a mental celebration. Celebrate family, gratefully. celebrate.
Thank you so much. Let me make sure that yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Frank, for your message this morning. It feels like it's all about songs and music this morning. Thank you. Thank you for that message that allows us to explore that idea of allowing that beautiful song that's in us, our life song, to come forward. Thank you for that. Thank you to Jimmy, as always, our music director. Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you to Soul Shine, Steve Kendall, who had his groove on in that last song. I love that. Steve Kendall and Karen Wilkins still on Richenberg, and Steve Johnson on whatever that instrument he was playing. Yeah, that thing. Thank you. And thank you to the Soulshine Choir, Casey and Mary and Tricia for the vocals. Thank you for that. We are a truly blessed community with so much talent. It just oozes out of the pores of this place. So thank you for all of that. Thank you to Ron Gallagher, who holds us and has held us. You know, Ron, I mentioned 15 months we've been on Zoom, and Ron has been the guy. He's the man. He's the one that has been there week after week after week, doing all of the tech for this and then getting it all cleaned up for the times when Frank and I just did, our usual, our usual silliness. He somehow bleeped those things out. Thank you, especially for that, Ron. And then, got it all cleaned up so that it could be put on YouTube. Thank you so much for all of these months of service, Ron. We are deeply indebted to you. Thank you to all of you who stayed with us for all of these months on Zoom. And, I'm sounding like this is the end. Well, it isn't. It's not even the end of Zoom. It's just the next phase of Zoom, actually, because next week we will be back at the pavilion. Live from the pavilion and live on Zoom. So you can come and be with us in person, live and in person, standing, walking, talking. You can see the whole body, not just the little, from here up. That in itself is a treat. You forget, oh, well, they're more than just a talking head. Look, they're real people here. So join us next week if you're up for it at the pavilion. We don't really know what the restrictions are yet, but my guess is, you want to come with a mask, and there will be hand sanitizer there, and the usual. Just I think they're doing social distancing seating, but join us. It will be a treat. And those of you who are joining us on Zoom, you will be live with us on Zoom. I think this is awesome. I think it's awesome. So amazing. And things are changing. They are changing. And what I know is that in this move back to the pavilion and the gift of COVID, of learning how to do Zoom and all of the flexibility of the technology is going to be such a boon to this community, because people can bring PowerPoints. The speakers can bring PowerPoints. They'll be able to have pictures behind them if they want. Just amazing things that can unfold now with what the board has allowed Frank and the board to purchase in terms of recording technology. So it's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life, and we're feeling good. Looking forward to all of that transformation, and it did require a lot of work, and we're grateful for that as well. We're grateful especially for all of you who stayed with us and who continue to support this community and will continue to support this community, for it is the Awakening Ways spiritual community. No matter who is here, no matter who is the spiritual leader, it is still the Awakening Ways spiritual community. And it is that loving presence that is present that makes it all happen. And so thank you for supporting us with your commitment, for your financial gifts, which have absolutely has enabled us to continue on. And you know what we value most of all is your presence and your energy. Thank you for being here for all of this time. Susan Jones, I always have to find Susan because I'm not on the.
She's there.
So Ron is going to let Susan come on and she can share what's happening.
Well, so I just wanted to let everyone know that thanks to Facebook, which is something that our beloved Kristen handles for Awakening Ways Spiritual Community, somebody saw our Facebook post about an open pulpit and communicated with me. It's not gone very far yet, but I just really want to acknowledge that that was an avenue that I never even thought about. And so if any of you are Facebook people, you should be sure that Awakening Ways Spiritual Community is one of your friends. And then when you see a post, share it, because we never know who is out there and who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So I just want to encourage you all to do that. And I promise that when I have something a little more substantial to talk about, I certainly will. But at this moment, it's mostly just a few people with feelers that are kind of looking into the situation. So I'll keep you posted.
Great. Great. So, I talk about my, what do I say? My ongoing experience of impatience or patience, however you want to look at that. And Frank talked about it a little bit himself. This is the word for all of us right now. To just keep breathing and be patient. And this patient is tinged with truth and trust. Trusting that everything is unfolding absolutely perfectly. And just keep breathing through that with this great expectation of good to come, good to come. So patience. And there are a lot of people who are hard at work, making all of this look so effortless. So thanks to all of you for all of your hard work, the board, the practitioners, everyone, that search committee.
All the volunteers.
And all the volunteers. Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. So thank you for all of that. Also a reminder that always, first and foremost, this is a community of prayer. All of this, all of Awakening Ways, everything was born from prayer. It was born from prayer. And so if there is an issue in your life, something is up for you that you just cannot seem to get over or get beyond or get through, let us pray for you. Let us pray for you. There are times when we pray for ourselves, and there are times when we should not pray for ourselves because we kind of get in our own way. And these are the times when we need someone else to, what we say is to know the truth for us until we can know that truth for ourselves. And so if there's something up for you, feel free to submit a prayer request by email and just put in the subject line that this is a prayer request. Those prayer requests will go out to the soul support team and they will hold you in prayer for the week, knowing the truth for you for that week. And if, after a week you don't feel uplifted, usually people do, but if you don't, then submit it once more and we'll continue to keep you on there. Okay, so feel free to do that. That is why we're here. That's why we have practitioners. That's why we have ministers who don't just do ministry kinds of things, we're all about prayer. We all began as practitioners. And so feel free. This is a community of prayer and a community of prayers demonstrated. So feel free to do that. Next week, I mentioned what's happening. We look forward to this, and I know, speaking of patience, I know that you're all going to be very, very patient and very understanding as we go through this new technology experience, knowing that there may be some glitches. There's probably going to be a period of adjustment where we have to do some fine tuning. It's all good. It's all just part of the process. And so thank you for supporting us in that way. And patience seems to be the operating word for the day. And so if you will, I'd just like to close with a brief benediction as we end this gathering this morning and open up to sharing at the end. So if you will, just once more, allow your eyes to softly close. And once more, just take a deep, full breath for yourself. And letting it go, just feel yourself filled full of light and love and joy and, yes, patience. For it is all within each and every person. All that the divine is, lives and moves and has its being in each and every person. I know that truth for all of us. And I know that as we go through this week and as we move through all of our activities, we open our inner ears, we open our hearts to catch that song, our own perfect, beautiful life song. For it is always singing within us. And so we open and we celebrate that song that is just ours to sing, just ours to perform, ours to do, ours to share. And we celebrate the glory of the divine moving in, as, and through us. Life is a joy. Life is meant to be celebrated. And so we celebrate this life right here and now and in each and every joyful moment to come. Knowing that every moment is blessed, every moment is holy. I just allow it all to be so. And so it is. Amen.